Ancient fossils that have been located in Ethiopia are set to rewrite the first chapter of human evolution, where some of the earliest hominid fossils that overlap Australopithecus expose human evolution as a tangled, competitive family tree. We have talked extensively on our show here, both the long form podcast and our reactions, about Australopithecus afarensis, aka Lucy, one of our last common ancestors with the great apes, and a lot of these subspecies of hominid. And when this article fell right on our desk, well, the research department could not have run it over quicker.
I am I am not okay with you right now, Justin. Once again we are talking about our lovely proto-human friends. We are stretching the human in historical human yet again, but
Okay, you
we
can't
get to have a
refer to
little
the
bit of
research department like that, though. They will unionize.
it's me. I'm half our workforce at this point. All right. I do everybody's job.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah,
But
no.
anyway, these there's some scientists who are working in the Afar region of Ethiopia, which is very distant from the near region. Um,
Miro, Faro, wherever you are.
yeah, at a site called Ledi Geraru, and what they found there is actually pretty interesting because the conventional understanding of how our evolution worked is kind of like a Newton's cradle or a line of dominoes. One thing falls into another, which falls into another in a nice semi-linear line. And what they found here shakes that up a bit. It's found they found a lot more competition and a lot more shared general environment and ecosystem between early hominids and the Australopithecines.
It's interesting because we do see some hominid overlap in the most recent variants of our species. We've noticed overlap with like Homo sapiens, our current species, and Homo neanderthalis, as well as Homo denisovan, um,
And the Florensis.
floresiensis. Yeah. So there's been
Yep.
a few examples where we have seen this overlap. Now, this is pushing it to the opposite end of the spectrum where we're starting to see overlap with different subspecies. And this is posing a lot of interesting questions to the research because, on one hand, we do know that there are other subspecies out there that had preceded most of the other ones that we're not sure about. However, Australopithecus afarensis is the last common one that we're able to trace both with. To see a divergent subspecies living and being around the exact same time is interesting. And what's I think is pretty cool is this research is directly supported by the National Science Foundation, the NSF, as well as the Leakey Foundation, which was founded by Lewis and Mary Leakey, aka the people who found Lucy, the first Australopithecus afarensis.
Yeah. Mary Leakey, the mother of fossils.
So a very
Yeah.
full circle moment there, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And these fossils
Yeah.
date between 2.6 and 3 million years old.
Yeah.
The team found fossils of Homo.
Yeah.
that
There's the article knows what it's doing. The
yeah,
article knows what it's doing, Justin. Let it happen.
but that they show that the earliest human lineage is roughly 2.8 million years ago, as a as its own unique species, and Australopithecus was roughly 2.6 million. So there's roughly a 200,000 year gap or overlap between the two.
There's about almost a quarter of a million years in which the two species, our last common ancestor before we become a distinct subspecies group, um, and the first of the hominids. There's this overlap here, and that's very fun to see. It's very interesting to see. It's the first time it's been proven because we finally got enough fossils, enough data to start seeing the messy gaps in the neat little plan that gets laid out by evolution and Mother Nature. And it's a very interesting thing to think about that hasn't really been done before, which is the idea of, how would the early hominids coexist with and compete against the uh, Australopithecines? They, you know, as far as we've understood scientifically until now, they didn't really share a lot of environments. And this is proving that no, they were in the same place at about the same time.
So it's just interesting because this shows that it's not quite as linear as we once thought, and that it kind of ebbs and flows in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but
And
a bit of a spoiler alert here. We did win.
did we? I'm not sure about that. Have you
think
seen
we
how
I
things
think
are recently?
last rat standing.
Yeah, still a blight on society. um, but it is interesting, and it poses a lot of questions, and just shows how little we really know about human ancestors. And part of that has to do with the fact that we are looking 3 million years ago.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at this in terms of a clock, humans as we know it in the modern day show up at 11:59. Like, we show up in the last second of a 24-hour clock, and that tiny time frame consists of what, 500,000 years at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we've been around for a single cosmological minute, and we're already our own extinction level event.
uh, but it's interesting because in other regions they overlap with different species. Like, the earliest species of Homo overlapped with a hominid species, very different, called Paranthropus, which is known for massive teeth and chewing muscles and a diet reliant on grass in a lot of its range. However, in Afar, no Paranthropus fossils have ever been found. So these different hominid species existed almost simultaneously as these other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of a very fun and exciting thing of sort of seeing the early Homo species out there, kind of getting into the general grand melee and not sort of just popping up and everything else falling away to allow us onto center stage, which is kind of the narrative that gets pushed forward a lot with this march of progress and other general models that are shown for human evolution as a linear subject.
I mean, shit, before we even got to this point, we had to learn how to walk, learn how to use tools, learn speech as we know it. Like, there was a lot of skill progression that took place in the interim period.
Yep.
We didn't just go from Australopithecus or this early hominid and start stomping around and making our way across the world, but instead it was a gradual species and like
Yep.
spread out from there. It also makes it difficult too that we've only ever found hominid species in very specific places, and they're just exceptionally rare because of the age and conditions required.
Yep. It turns out most of the places that people like to live are not conducive for preserving fossils and bones.
Hot, wet, muggy.
Yep. Yeah. No, we don't like. We do. We are not designed for for fossil producing environments, but we'll live there anyway because we're stubborn like that.
And anyways, I think that's probably a great point for us to wrap up this here episode. We always love talking about human evolution and new fossils, and this is a great little bit of research that was just published just last week. So very cool.
Yeah, but was it the University of Arkansas?
Yep.
Yep.
A researcher by the name of Lucas Delazeni. So, in an associate professor of anthropology. So, very cool work. We're very proud of that. Keep up the great efforts, and we will see everyone in the next episode. Peace.